Hi, I'm Whack.
Hey, and I'm Pat. Thanks for joining us for the 91st episode of the Weekly Orbit. This week ending Friday, February 28th. It's been a rough week, Whack, with crypto in general, with Ethereum in particular, and everything else. But we've got some other news we're going to go through. How you been dealing with such volatility in the markets this week?
Just by not looking at it, pretty much. I'm very much firmly my head is in the sand, and I will not look at this, and I'm not going to engage with it emotionally or like physically anywhere. And it's just doing its thing, and I'm just over there with my head in the sand. So it's all good.
I know. We were supposed to be on our way to the road to Valhalla by now. On our way to 10,000 ETH. Right now, it's at 23.21, and it's down on the week. Let's see. I think it's like 16%. Yeah, that is 16% on the week. Pretty rough. Before we get into why that is, let's take a look at ETF flows, which have been negative all week. As you can see here, we had, starting last week on Friday, we had about 9 million outflow, and then Monday, 78 million, Tuesday, 50 million, yesterday, 94 million in net negative outflows. So we're just under 3 billion positive inflows. We were at like 3.5 billion, it seems like not long ago. So we're going in the wrong direction here. If we look at we'll look at the broader market in a second, but what's your take on Ethereum? Why did we go down 16% in just a week?
Well, last week there was a hack with Bybit, which is one of the biggest exchanges in crypto, and they were moving funds around, which is what they're scheduled to do every once in a while, just to keep their wallet safe. And they were moving from one cold wallet to another cold wallet using a multisig. And Lazarus Group out of North Korea figured out how to inject malicious code into their computers from the safe front end by having access to developer terminal, gaining access to it. And they showed them a fake transaction that was actually sending money to Lazarus Group instead. So it was the biggest single crypto heist ever, probably one of the biggest actual heists ever as well, at $1.5 billion worth of ETH. And this was ETH and a couple of liquid staking tokens, so it was all ETH ecosystem stuff. So the markets got scared a little bit. And then it was like, is this going to be a bullish hack? Because, it'll be really difficult for North Korea to launder this money out of crypto and get it into cash or anything like that. So then, would Bybit have to buy back? So there was a lot of uncertainty around this. Otherwise, in the wider crypto market is doing horribly so far. It's doing really badly. And then on top of that as well, the wider macro market isn't doing so well either. So it's just markets all over the place are just having a really rough time of it. And ETH is just kind of caught up in that. So yeah, if you look at the 7-day chart here for Bitcoin, down 12% over the 7 days, Ethereum down 15%, XRP 19%, Solana 20%, like everything is down pretty much. Like it's not fun.
Yes, in the general, so Ethereum had the hack, but it looks like in general here, like BTC down 12% as you went through all of them. Yeah, Solana's having a terrible 30 days here. They've gone down, about 50% in the last
more than that,
30 days?
At the Trump Melania launch, I think the token was about 300. So it's gone down a good, 60% from there. So, well, not 60 quite, just a bit less than 60% in that time. Yeah, if you scroll down, you can see like on the 1 month, 41%, but I think it's just over 1 month is when the peak was. So it's been really bad. And the thing with Solana is as well, there's a lot of negativity around the whole Solana ecosystem right now, like with the meme coin ruggings and all the just horrible meme coinness. And then on top of that, there's like this spectre looming of unlocks that are happening from the FTX estate that Sol is going to be forced to get sold. And that's going to be billions of dollars worth of Sol, which is for a product that, has a fully diluted valuation of $81 billion. That is going to hit quite hard, I think. So people are exiting their positions. They're kind of like shorting Sol. Like it's risky. It's a really risky play because you don't know when the bottom is going to be. Have we seen the bottom already? Is the bottom going to happen at some point, between now and April when most of the unlocks finish? I don't know. But like the sentiment in general is like really, really bad.
Yeah, I mean, if you bought Solana at the bottom at like $8, you're way up, and it's a good time to exit, I guess. Even if you bought it at 50 or 100, it had a nice run to $250 or so,
Up to 300 nearly, yeah.
300, yeah. So if you had done that, good for you. If you had sold it, you'd made a nice little profit in the last year or so.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at Rocket Pool. RPL is on the week, it's down 14%. So not as terrible, pretty terrible, but not as terrible
If
as
you refresh the
ETH.
page, it's going to be a little bit better even than that.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Did it up?
Or maybe not.
Just
I'm not sure. Try it. Oh, no, it's the same.
no,
Yeah,
it's about
that's
the
okay.
same. Yeah,
Yeah.
13%.
13%.
So about 13%.
13.
Yep. There you
Yeah,
go.
13%. Yeah.
So
So-
RPL holding a little better than Ethereum in general. So hey, a little tidbit here: Constellation XRPL through NodeSet is now listed on CoinGecko, so you can follow that. Just want to throw that in there. One thing I was looking at this chart, Whack, and this is from TradingView. It shows the 5 days of Ethereum, Rocket Pool or RPL, and then the broader market. And saying here the broader market's up 2% while everything is down double digits. I can't figure that out, Whack, because we just went through our CoinGecko list and we scroll down because the broader market index on TradingView that it's showing is everything outside the top 10. So if we take a look at the 7-day, that's the third column. Everything looks pretty terrible going down the entire stack.
Yeah, all looks red. So I don't know where that number is coming from. And there's multiples that are in the 20+% red, but I guess there's some of them that are up a little bit. So I don't know what's going on with them.
I don't know. Yeah, well, in general, I think we can just generally say the markets have a tough.
Bad.
It is bad. I guess in macro sense, looking at, I think the Federal Reserve is maybe hesitant they might be saying that they're not going to raise rates at all this year, lower rates at all, possibly. I think that's one thing that's looming on the macro side. I think if I recall, there's some concern about government deficits. There's a proposed tax cut bill going through Congress that would just add trillions of dollars to the debt, which would increase interest rates on the government bonds. So there's a lot of, I think, macro uncertainty with what's going on as well. That's kind of holding the markets back here. And so hopefully things will get better, but right now we're in a funk.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. It's been a wider market. It's just horribly really bad sentiment. So it's not been fun recently to be in crypto.
Well, I guess if you're running a Rocket Pool node, you just let it run, sit there, and collect your ETH, and then we'll see if better waters are ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
Okay. Well, let's move on to some news. We talked about last week, we had the online voting mechanism kind of go into place that was part of the Houston upgrade last summer. We had our first proposal number 1, which was going to reconfigure the RPL rewards distribution. And so that came online. And as we talked about, it was kind of a 3-week process. The first week, it's sent out so anyone can see it. And then propose any changes to it. And the second week is a vote. And the third week is a challenge. All right, so Langer's here. He said, hey, everyone, just after it was raised, the community realized that the inflation allocation changes are supposed to be a supermajority vote. As per RPIP 25, the on-chain proposal only supports a win quorum of 51%. We're going to work with the community on a long-term solution, whether that be technical or governance. In the meantime, expect an upcoming snapshot-based process that has the same outcome. For the on-chain proposal, please don't vote for it. It will eventually expire after 2 weeks without a quorum. So was this something that was caught in that first week by the community that said, hey, hold on a second?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened here. So the vote was raised, and then we were like, wait, this is the incorrect vote criteria for this. We're supposed to have a supermajority, and this is simple majority. It's really rare for Rocket Pool votes to go through with a simple majority anyway. I think in the whole of the votes that we've had, there's only been 3 or 4 of them that have been anything close to being contentious. Even those ones went through with supermajorities. So technically, I think, it would go through as a supermajority pretty much, but you have to follow the rules as they're written. And here the rule is that you need to be able to change what the quorum percentage will be, what the vote percentage will be to reach quorum, And if we didn't do that, then that's an issue. Now, what's really interesting here is that it looks like this is a long-term problem. So I think the system, the way the voting system is designed, is that you can't change like the threshold for quorum, like the vote threshold, right? Like if it's a simple majority, supermajority, any of that kind of stuff, with the way the votes are set up. So it might be that, there'll be a fix for this in Saturn 1 potentially. But if we can get around it, then it might be even pushed back to Saturn 2 instead of, delaying the process. But I don't think it'll be too difficult a way of, setting it up to fix that. But it might be on Saturn 1 that it gets fixed.
So was this something that was like hard coded into in the Houston?
It seems that way, yeah. It seems that way, especially with with Langer saying we'll work with the community on a long-term solution. So it looks like that's the thing, right? Like it looks like this coded into the code itself. And then maybe
how did that get through all the audits and like?
I don't know.
Because RPIP 25 was way before Houston.
Yeah.
Right?
But like I think sadly with the vote stuff, you only realize the edge cases once it's out in production. So it's like, oh yeah, that we forgot about that one. So yeah. So
yikes.
Yeah, it happens. But like Langer says here, expect a snapshot-based vote that'll come up and they'll have the same outcome. So it should be fine. Yeah,
Okay.
We can carry on going. Like, we're not going to be hopefully restricted, but it's a shame.
Yeah. All right, well, on to the next thing. ETHDenver is happening. You and I are not there this year, obviously. I've gone the last two. I think you have as well.
Yeah.
Gone the last two. And, our friend Ken is there, of course. I don't think Ken's ever missed an Ethereum conference. He is at all of them. It's really great. He's always there representing, which is awesome. There's some nice pictures here of the conference and what's going on. The link will be in the show notes. There's a Rocket Pool Discord. There's an ETHDenver 2025 link that has, all the pictures and happenings. Ken says here the lines are back. There's the team getting off the plane at the Denver airport, and that looks nice and sunny. So yeah, a lot going on. There's Ken. So hey, just wanted to show some highlights from the conference. So
yeah,
do you miss not being there this year?
I'm getting a little bit of FOMO right now. I think for a while there I was like, I'm going to be fine. It's going to be okay. But now that I'm seeing that there's cool people there, I'm like, oh man, like I wish I had gone. And the reason why I didn't go is because I feel like there wasn't going to be a booth. So that was something that kind of like gave me pause. And then, because that was the center of like my social activity the last couple of ETHDenvers. And then the other center of social activity at ETHDenver was with the Rocket Pool house. Like we ended up having two houses last year, but one of them, the whack house was a cool house. So that was like a really nice place to hang out and like, just spend time with people and get to talk to people and stuff. And that didn't happen this year either. Like no one was really taking the initiative on setting it up. So because of those two things, it ended up being the case that like, I was just like, you know what, those were things that were some of the most important things to me. With that not happening, and then other people who I would have loved to have seen were signaling that they weren't going to go either. So it was just like me being like, yeah, it's okay, I'll skip it this year. But I'm slowly getting a little bit of FOMO now because I'm seeing the pictures and I'm seeing people like being out there and attending stuff, and I'm like, oh man, I want to go to that, but it's okay, I'm fine.
Do you think that this conference, it's always U.S. based, do you think that they should move it around to different cities? Because that's something that would interest me, because I've been to Denver several times, and part of me, this is my personal taste, is like I like the conference is almost an excuse to go somewhere to explore. So you have the conference, like first time. Well, if you go to Denver, like, okay, what's in Denver that I can see and check out in addition to the conference? But now that I've been there so many times, I don't have that motivation. Do you think that there's a conference they can move? Like some conferences do move around city to city.
Yeah,
or do you think they should stay put?
Almost all of the conferences move around. So you have ETH Global, which is in like 20 or 30 different cities and countries in the world every year. There's pretty much one happening every week, pretty close to where you are at some point, I'm sure, during the year. And then after that, then you get DevConnect and DevCon, and those are the big Ethereum conferences, and those move around as well. So last year, DevCon was in Thailand, and this year it looks like DevConnect is going to be in Argentina. So they do move around. It's just ETHDenver is just ETHDenver. Like that is, a set conference that happens in Denver every last weekend in February, and that's just the way it is. So yeah, you're not going to sadly you're not going to
I know.
get that.
Well,
to
do you
move.
wish? That's my question. Do you wish it changed around? Do you think that's
No,
something
there's other
you would like, or
conferences
do you,
too. Like, we were saying that Ken goes to other ones. So Denver is just like, the community conference. And it seems like this year, one of the things that people are a little bit disappointed about is just how much other crypto stuff has kind of like seeped its way into ETHDenver, because it's supposed to be an Ethereum conference. But if you scroll up a little bit, they've got like, marketing from other L1s, parasitic L1s. Like if you keep scrolling, there's like an aquarium picture with a diver where having like some Stellar logo or something. I don't know what that's going on there, but yeah, keep going. Yeah, and then there's some Bitcoin layer 2 thing going on this year as well, and like it's just weird. Like there you go. Look, why is Stellar at ETHDenver? Do you know what I mean? So last year they had a Solana booth. Like it's not something that I fully understand why it's happening the way it is, but yeah, that's something that I think a few people have shown some hesitancy about that as well this year.
yeah, I guess they could rename it Crypto Denver instead of ETH Denver.
No, I think it's nice for it to be like an ETH conference, especially like the biggest ETH community conference is awesome. But I feel like all these other like smaller projects kind of piggyback off of ETHDenver's popularity and their welcoming nature to be like, yeah, let's just instead of having our own dedicated conference, we can just have a booth at ETHDenver, and there's enough people who turn up that we can just see them anyway. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to the next thing here. It just says this was in relation to some talk about increasing system requirements and things for nodes going sometime in the future if you run Ethereum node at home or anywhere, actually. But this was a nice post by POTUS. He says, repeating this, but I think it's unreal to think our CR layer is a single validator home stakers. The real decentralization, ignoring, of course, LST risk, is on the CSM RP home operators. We should not drop them from areas where bandwidth is not available. It kind of goes back to the fundamentals. Like Ethereum really is as strong as it is in large part due to Rocket Pool. Rocket Pool node operators are the largest bunch. They do it at home. They are geographically diverse. And I got my next screen here shows the client diversity too. We always have led the pack here. You could see from the screen how we almost equally divvy up our clients between consensus and execution clients so well. It's because of Rocket Pool home operators that I think Ethereum is as strong, neutral as it is. As going forward, there's talk of how we can keep the network running so well, but also increase concerns with bandwidth and things like that. So it's a good discussion that's been ongoing for a while. Do you have any thoughts on the importance of home operators for the Ethereum network?
They're crucial. Yeah, they're absolutely crucial. Like when things, if things can go bad, it'll be these home operators who will have the settings that will keep Ethereum maximally censorship resistant, maximally decentralized, maximally available and neutral, credibly neutral for the whole world. And you only need a certain percentage of node operators to have those values for the whole network to have those values. Now, for example, when we had the Tornado Cash stuff a couple of years ago and OFAC sanctions lists, if 99% of the network chose to censor transactions, but only 1% of the network chose to not censor transactions, you'd still be able to get your transaction through within an hour, I think, at most. Basically, like at most an hour, like probably less time than that as well. When it comes to making sure that your clients are robust and you're using minority clients and a good variation of clients, it's these home node operators are the ones who might take potential small hit in performance, but add to that strength of Ethereum. So it's really great that some people realize this, especially when There's, changes that want to be made at the Ethereum level to kind of like supposedly make Ethereum like stronger in terms of like its issuance and things like that. The problem is that, there's very, very few paths forward that aren't at the cost of home staking. And we can't have staking be that people do it for free or people do it, for altruistic reasons. There might be some people who do that, but it'll be such a vanishingly small amount of people that you can't, expect these like Ethereum values that you want to promote and that you want to laud. You can't expect those to remain when that's what happens. So this is like you said, it's a huge conversation that's been ongoing for over a year. Is like, how do we make Ethereum more performant? How do we make Ethereum like just better, like in terms of its throughput, in terms of like, what it can do? But then it also like you have to balance that with these other values that you have, and the way to preserve those is like, encouraging home staking and people having the control over their stake. But it seems like you can't have both maybe. So this is a bit of a discussion that's ongoing now, is like, how can we do it so we can have both? So
yeah, we can't rely on big boys like Coinbase to help secure the network, even though they represent a large portion. If we did that and something goes wrong client-wise, or if there's some censorship at the nation state level, they're going to be subject to that, whereas a home staker can keep it's so crucial that they represent a large portion of the Ethereum network. They keep it going. I love these charts, Wack, because we talked at length last year about how, hey, if you're running Geth, get off it, because if something goes wrong, the whole network might just implode. And let's move to the execution layer just to see how that's going. Geth represents an estimated 20% of Rocket Pool nodes. Nethermind's at 15%, Bezu at 31%. There's some unknowns as well, but this just looks really healthy to me, and we are leading the pack, and something I'm really proud of, that our community understands the importance of client diversity, and the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's really cool that we have this. I think it's incredibly valuable for Ethereum that we have Rocket Pool, really juicing these numbers, like home staking numbers, like, the client diversity numbers. Rocket Pool is at the forefront of this, and it has been since the beginning.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, on to the next thing. So we had a fork this week for the Holesky testnet, and it didn't go so well. At first, right off the bat, there seemed to be something wrong. There's a post here from ETHDenver. It says an invalid block was propagated and accepted by several execution clients on the Holesky, and devs are debugging. The Aragon-Reth combo was working correctly. Nothing is finalized yet, and enough validators are on the wrong chain have been shut down to prevent finalization. This was kind of an earlier tweet, and they did figure out, they did a post-mortem, and they found out exactly what happened. It turns out it was just it wasn't something major. It was kind of a smaller bug. Could you elaborate for us what exactly happened?
So one of the things that, you have to put in your client is an address, basically, and you've not had to do this before. So this is the first time you had to do this, and people put the incorrect address in. So it was Geth, Besu, Nethermind. I think all of them put in the incorrect address, and Aragon-Reth were working fine. But like the big clients, like, pretty much the most of the network put in the wrong address. So they actually caused a fork split Ethereum. So there was one version of Ethereum that was the correct one that was saying, hey, this is the correct address, this is how we're doing things. Then there was the incorrect version of Ethereum that forked off, that had the wrong information in there. And both are kind of running side by side. Well, except, they shut down the validators on the wrong one. But the problem is that, for those first few minutes, people were testing and they were proposing. And now what's happened is that if you were tested to a bad block and then you try to change it and attest to a good block, then you're going to get slashed. So there's two strands here. So the first one is, hey, the testnet went fine. We had this bug with it. Everything's okay. We understood what the bug is pretty much right away. It's a very, very trivial fix. So Polia should go ahead as normal. There's an all-core devs call happening like pretty much right now when we're recording. So we'll find out what they say after we finish. But it pretty much, I think, will be the case that, the forward timeline for Pectra won't be impacted too much, depending on. And then this is about Holesky now, is what to do with Holesky. So Holesky is in a forked situation right now. There's a good chain, that is the minority chain. There is a bad chain, that's the majority chain. So the question is, can we save Holesky? Can we kind of do a mass slashing of the bad chain and just keep the good chain and keep it going? Or do we just call it quits and start a new chain? So Holesky, I should go back and tell you, like, this is one of like the official testnets, and this is supposed to live for 5 years, and it's not at the moment. It looks like it's on life support right now. So it's going to be. We'll find out from this all devs call about what's going to happen with the Pectra timeline. I'm hoping that it won't change too much, maybe a week or two at most, and then we're going to find out what to do with with the Holesky. Whether we're just going to like let it die and just leave it and start something new, or whether we are going to try to revive it and go through mass slashing of people who were on Geth, Bisu, and Nethermind. So it's kind of exciting. It's kind of cool to be in this situation with like low stakes. That's the testnet. That's the purpose of it. Like we found out that Pectra is mostly okay except for this
small
configuration issue. Yeah. And now it's like, we get to test this mass slashing event in practice. What's really funny is that this is the scary outcome that we were talking about last year, right? Like, if this was, so mainnet and everyone else was okay and Geth was not okay and Geth was a supermajority client, then this is what would have happened. And then the question would have been like, do we keep going forward with the supermajority of Geth, which is like the bad chain, and like try to fix that and like, everyone else gets slashed? Or do we say, sorry, Geth, you're done, and then go with the minority, which is the real chain? So like this would have been absolutely catastrophic if this was on mainnet. Like truly, like it would have been the death of Ethereum pretty much, like in one way or another. Or well, very close to it. It would have been like absolutely like horrific. Like, literally either 33% of the stake was going to get burned or 66% of the stake was going to get burned, depending on what you want to do. It would have been really bad, really, really, really bad. So with this now, hopefully we can see what it would be like to actually do it in the wild. And, it's a nice little test case. The only thing is it kind of distracts from Sepolia and then mainnet, like forks. So it's going to be... We just got to make sure that it doesn't distract too much. But the fact is, the bug itself was really trivial, so it's not too bad.
Right. So the question is, Rocketpool has its DevNet running on Holesky. What happens to that if the Holesky testnet dies?
Yeah. So Holesky testnet is, well, I think they got like a bunch of testing done beforehand. I haven't actually followed the testing thread, so that would be an interesting thing to have a look at to see what's going on in there. Holesky is kind of like hobbling along, like it's not finalizing because they haven't gotten over 66% threshold for attestations and block production, so it's not finalizing. The chain is technically working if you are the one that was the correct chain. If you're still following that, which it seems like people are kind of doing that, so you can actually technically go on Holesky and do stuff. It's just it won't finalize, and it's not going to finalize until the network system parameters change.
Yeah, I almost think that, there's no money to lose. All the ETH, it's like fake ETH that you're using on Holesky. It's from just a completely naive, non-technical point of view from me. It would be fun to see mass slashing event. Like, why not test it out and see and get back on the right chain? And you can do that. This is one opportunity to try that out.
I think a bunch of people have already been slashed. So some of the guidance that was coming out yesterday was like, resync your clients and get back to the correct head of the chain and turn off your slash prevention database, and then you can get slashed. So if you look at the Holesky.beacon chain website, you can see that like there's been a lot of slashings that have already happened. But the way that slashing works is if you get slashed, there's like a certain period of time into the future where you could still get correlated penalties. So it's just like, the idea was, hey, you get slashed, there's 1 ETH penalty and then you're fine. That's not quite how it works. If you get slashed, it actually locks your ETH for a period of time. And then if there are a lot of other slashings that happen after that period, then you get more and more of your ETH like burned away as a correlated slashing penalty. So the people who are getting slashed now, like, those, they're be left with nothing basically. So because it'll be like all of that ETH will be destroyed. So yeah.
I'm wondering if some of the developers they find this really fascinating that go through such an event like this. That it's basically a giant simulation, but with real people. And so they might be willing to kind of tweak around a little bit. Hey, let's just, because this would be a giant black swan event if this were on the mainnet, right? So why not take the opportunity to play around with it a little bit to see, in the worst case scenario, if this did happen, why don't we see and
that's
walk
what's
it
happening
through,
right now. So they ask people to shut down pause their validators, and they're talking about it all day long, like in the ETH research thread, the R&D thread, Discord channel, sorry, it's buzzing away with people like sharing ideas, sharing thoughts, and it looks like they're going to go towards a mass slashing route and try to revive the network that way. It's going to be painful. It's really, really painful, because I think Aragon and Reth were just such a small percentage of the network, and
it's not really painful. It's not really real money on the line.
Yeah, it's not, but right? It's just procedurally, it's going to be kind of annoying, I think, because what'll happen is you'll get all those validators slashed, and then there'll be inactivity leak and all sorts of other stuff that's happening, and then those validators who remain, they're the ones that'll keep things going. And the ETH that's there, it'll just be forked, right? So for example, the Saturn DevNet that's out there, Saturn 1 DevNet, one of that will be on a good chain and one of it will be on a bad chain, and the one on the bad chain you'll just stop using, and the one that's on the good chain can carry on. So that's that situation.
Yeah, that's what I'm most concerned with, is I want the Saturn DevNet to continue. So I don't want that delayed. We're shooting for July. It'll probably be pushed back, just because it always is. But I don't want to see it pushed back any farther than it has to.
Yeah.
So, do you have any wins for the week? Let's move on to that.
No, it's been a horrible week. I guess the win, maybe I could try to spin something negative into a positive. My family's been really sick this last week. Everyone's been sick. My little one threw up 10 times in the space of 8 hours. It was just horrible. It's been really tough. The big one is home from school. My wife has been bedridden for the last few days. It's been really tough. But I think the positive, the win from that is having people that who love you and who you love kind of being there for you when things are bad. That's my win for the week.
Yeah, having throwing up 10 times in 8 hours, I imagine that you feel terrible, and to have people around to help you out, is a good thing. You haven't got it yet?
No, I was achy on the weekend, but I haven't got any other than that. But it's been kind of coming in waves. So my little guy was sick on Friday last week, in the evening, and then I was sick, and my big guy was sick on Saturday night. Then my wife got sick on the weekend, but we felt like we were all over it. So everyone was back to school and work on Monday, but then it hit back with a vengeance on Tuesday night and Wednesday, yesterday. And then my big guy got sent home from school, and then he was throwing up in the afternoon, and it's been a mess. And my wife's been bedridden since Tuesday afternoon, evening. So fun.
I hope that everyone gets better, because being sick
I'm playing nurse, so I'm trying to help out with that stuff.
My win is it's a good story. I want to give a shout out to my good friend Jesse and his wife Bria. They're Christian missionaries. Jesse is a node operator from Rocket Pool, and they 2 or 3 times a year they go to Ukraine, and Bria she was born in the United States, but she spent about 30 years living in Ukraine, and so she has a lot of family and friends there. And they go, they're in transit right now for their trip. They're going to Warsaw, Poland first for about a week or so. They teach music. They're really great musicians. Bria was actually on The Voice in Ukraine, and she's really good. She's on YouTube. But they're going to sit with I believe it's women who've had the men in their lives lost to the war, but they're interested in music. And I think women and children. Pardon me if I got that wrong, Jesse. But so they meet with them for about a week at this studio in Warsaw. They did this last year as well, and then after that they're going to go to Ukraine for about a week. Normally they go to the front. This time they're not. They're going to be in Western Ukraine, visiting friends, family. But then in May they're going to be going to the front where they play for the soldiers. They're to provide the soldiers hope, kind of give them spiritual guidance, but also just kind of try to cheer them up. And they're just wonderful people. And it's like those are the people I wish we had more of in this world, especially in that part of the world. So just a shout out to them. That they are my win for the week, and they're always my win. I love Jesse and Bria. So
That's lovely.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing that, Pat.
Yeah. So thanks for watching, everyone. Like and subscribe. Wack and I will be back with you next week. Until then, keep the faith. Things will get better. Hopefully.
Maybe
Not
4
financial
years.
advice. Okay. We'll see everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.